Some of Hollywood's biggest stars swapped wardrobes, and the results were jaw-dropping. Today we're diving into a wild ride through 13 Hollywood actors who stepped into the opposite gender roles and nailed them in ways you probably never expected. Stay with me, because you're going to see beloved stars in completely different light, discover the challenges they faced, and how these roles flipped the script in more ways than one. Let's get right into the story. These are the 13 actors, and for each we'll talk what role they played, how it challenged them, and why it matters. 1. Dustin Hoffman, Tootsie. Hoffman plays Michael Dorsey, an actor who can't get hired, so he disguises himself as Dorothy Michaels, a woman, and lands a soap opera job. The transformation? Full commitment, voice training, movement changes, wardrobe, everything. Why it's wild. At that time, huge star doing female role head-on. It brought up issues of gender identity, stereotypes, workplace bias. He gets respect as Dorothy that he didn't get as Michael. Fun note, the film became iconic for this exact reverse gender twist. 2. Charlie Chaplin, A Busy Day. Chaplin is someone we associate with the little tramp and slapstick, but early on in A Busy Day he even dresses in a gown, playing a wife. Why it's important: shows how gender crossing isn't just modern, it goes way back, and for a comedic icon like Chaplin to do it, it sets a tone. Gender and performance have always been intertwined in acting. 3. Angelina Jolie, opposite gender role. While Jolie is mostly known for her fierce female leads, some lists credit her with roles that play on gender swaps or strong masculine traits disguised in female form. It flips audience expectations. When a big star known for one type takes on something totally unexpected, it shakes things up. 4. Cillian Murphy, Breakfast on Pluto. Murphy stars as Patrick Kitten Braden, a trans woman in 1970s Ireland. Here the opposite gender role is more nuanced. Not just cross-dressing for laughs, but identity and real emotional stakes. Why this stands out: it shows the challenge to become the character in a genuine way, handling issues of identity, vulnerability, society's reaction, not just costume. 5. Eddie Redmayne. While he mostly plays cis-male roles, his work in biopic territory and commitment make him a good example. Okay, this one is a bit of a stretch for our list, but his dedication to role transformation, think, body, voice, echoes the same spirit of swapping into a radically different identity. Why I include him? To show that the opposite gender idea can stretch into different gender identity portrayals, not always just a man dressing as a woman or vice versa, but stepping into a world very foreign to the actor. 6. Alexis Arquette, variety of gender roles. Arquette's career includes playing roles that blur lines, drag, impersonation, transitioning themselves. Why it's powerful: it highlights the fact that playing opposite gender can be deeply personal. For Arquette, gender identity and role-playing merge. It's not just a gimmick, it's lived experience. 7. Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire. Williams plays Daniel Hilliard, who dresses up as a Scottish housekeeper, female role, to spend time with his kids. This film is much more than slapstick. There's heart, drama, identity, disguise mechanics. Big star in full comedy mode, but the gender swap is central to the story. Disguise, family, love. And the audience both laughs and connects with the emotional guts of it. 8. Cameron Diaz. Again, more flexible than classic opposite gender, but her work helps illustrate range. Diaz has been in films where gender expectations are flipped or played with, though maybe less dramatically than full cross-gender. Why include? To show that even when it's not a full gender swap, actors bending the rules help prepare the ground for big swaps. 9. Jamie Lee Curtis. Same idea. Curtis often plays with masculine, feminine tropes. Strong female lead with stereotypically male qualities. Why? This helps us think. Opposite gender role isn't always strictly male playing female. Sometimes it's about breaking expectations. 10. Tilda Swinton, otherworldly gender-fluid roleplay. Swinton has often inhabited characters whose gender is ambiguous or shifting, e.g. in Orlando. Why it counts: expands the discussion beyond binary. Opposite gender roles can lead into gender-fluid, non-binary territory. 11. Eddie Izzard. Though mostly known as comedian and gender-fluid figure, Izzard's orientation toward gender and performance pushes boundaries. When actors openly cross-dress or play roles opposite to their everyday gender, it forces audiences to question norms. Why important? It shows that society's views on gender in performance are evolving, and actors at the edge help move that evolution. 12. Cate Blanchett, gender reversal roles in I'm Not There. Blanchett portrayed a character inspired by Bob Dylan, Billy, in I'm Not There, a male persona. This is not full woman plays man's role all the time, but big role reversal. Why? Reminds us that actor gender versus character gender can flip in all sorts of creative ways. 13. Hilary Swank, Boys Don't Cry. Swank plays Brandon Tina, a transgender man. While not opposite gender in the classic comedy disguise way, it's a courageous gender-swapped or gender-challenging performance. Why it matters? Because the topic of opposite gender roles cannot ignore transgender representation. It brings in real stakes, identity, culture, not just costume. So why is this topic harder than it looks? Because when an actor takes on a role of the opposite gender, they face multiple challenges. Authenticity versus stereotype. Are they being real or just doing the woman in dress or woman playing man with comedian effect? Social backlash. Audiences might react badly if the portrayal is seen as offensive or mocking. Representation issues. If a cis male actor plays a female character, or vice versa, while actual female or male actors are overlooked, it raises questions. Physical and vocal transformation. It's not just putting on a dress. It's voice, movement, costume, mindset, emotional truth. The actor has to feel the gender difference, not just look it. Otherwise, the character falls flat. These obstacles explain why some gender swap roles succeed brilliantly and others plunge into uncomfortable territory. According to one summary of actors who played opposite gender roles, this is a centuries-old tradition, but one still fraught with issues. Let's deepen our look. When these roles hit, they often leave deep ripples in cinema culture. In early theater and film, men often played women because women were banned from stage. So the idea of opposite gender roles is nothing new, but Hollywood gave it new life. Modern meaning. Nowadays, it's less about ha-ha cross-dressing and more about identity, representation, even activism. When Swank plays a transgender man, it's not a punchline. It's heavy, emotional, meaningful. Audience reaction. For many viewers, seeing a favorite star in the other side role is fascinating. It creates that "I didn't know they could do that" moment. Hook right there. Career impact. For some actors, these roles redefine them. Hoffman's Dorothy Michaels, Williams' Mrs. Doubtfire, they become part of the legend. Representation and ethics. We also must ask, who should play these roles? Are men dressing as women okay if actual women are ignored? How about cis actors playing trans characters? These questions are now very much alive in Hollywood. Skill requirement. It takes enormous craft. Transformation of voice, posture, movement. Hoffman reportedly underwent extensive makeup and voice training for Tootsie. Let's highlight a couple of moments more deeply. Michael Dorsey is a difficult actor who loses work. He dresses as Dorothy Michaels and suddenly gets jobs, respect, love. The joke is obvious, but by the end he's learned about empathy, what women face, what it takes to be heard. The role is comedic, yes, but layered. It forces both the character and the audience to think about gender stereotypes. Brandon Tina's story is tragic. Swank's performance required not just acting skill, but a deep, humane understanding. This is beyond gender disguise. It is gender identity. The risk is higher. The impact? Huge. It made people talk about trans experience in a way many films hadn't. Here, Daniel Hillard becomes Mrs. Doubtfire to stay close to his kids. The gender cross-dressing is more playful, but it also underscores love, sacrifice, identity. Williams makes it funny, but also makes you feel for the character's plight. The audience laughs, sure, but they also root for this guy who just wants to be with his children. Swinton doesn't necessarily play woman as man, but she works roles that challenge gender. This alters the conversation. It's no longer opposite gender in a binary sense, but gender performance as a flexible tool. It forces us to rethink gender as performance, costume, identity more than biology. Here's the big takeaway. When done right, these opposite gender roles do two things simultaneously: entertain and challenge. They give us the fun or shock of, wow, look at that actor in a dress, or vice versa. But then they drop us into deeper waters. What is gender? Who gets to play which role? How do we see ourselves and others? That dual power is the moment of magic. Think about it. When Hoffman strutted as Dorothy, the audience laughs, but also realizes that Dorothy gets job offers, whereas Michael didn't. When Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire interacts with his kids, it's hilarious. But there is sadness behind the costume. When Swank as Brandon Tina faces real threat and violence, the gender swap is life and death, not just a punchline. That's the peak, the point when the costume drops and the character stays, when the actor stops playing woman in a dress and becomes the character fully. That's when the role transcends gimmick and becomes art, and that's what makes our topic so mind-blowing. So next time you watch a movie and see an actor who surprises you, maybe it's because they're playing across the gender line. Now you'll know the challenge, the craft, the resonance behind it. If you like this deep dive, click to check out the next video. You won't want to miss it.